Indispensable for. Absolutely necessary, essential, or requisite. A positive attitude is indispensable for maintaining a healthy mindset. Adaptability is indispensable for success in a rapidly changing world. A good friend is an indispensable source of support and encouragement. Result in. To cause a particular situation to happen. The reorganization of the company resulted in great financial loss. Climate change will result in serious problems for the next generations. Such measures are likely to result in decreased motivation in the workforce. Contrary to. When two things are exactly opposite. In contrary to his advice, she invested all her savings in the stock market. Many conscious beings behave in ways that are contrary to the rules of logic. Contrary to popular belief, moderate exercise actually decreases your appetite. Famous for. Known or recognized by very many people. The district is famous for its melons, and also produces wine and olives. This restaurant is famous for their original dishes at reasonable prices. He became famous for his knowledge of early Arabian arts and antiquities. Desire for. A strong feeling that you want something. Her desire for a desirable house will come true in the near future. It is apparent that he is motivated solely by a desire for political power. When people lose the sense of smell, also lose their desire for sexual relations. Control over. Make a person or thing do what you want. If you invest wisely, you can control over your financial future. Private ownership allows individuals to have control over their assets. If you make informed decisions, you will have control over your choices. Acquaint with. Make someone aware of or familiar with. It is known that Thomas was personally acquainted with this Nicholas. It's important to get acquainted with the local customs before traveling. He had traveled widely and was well acquainted with Egyptian philosophy. Argue about. To give reasons for or against something. Historians still argue about who this mysterious woman really was. We can argue about precisely how close our relationship should be. Economists and politicians argue about what kind of spending is better. Identical to. Exactly the same, or very similar. The counterfeit passports were almost identical to the real ones. The physicist argues that mental states are identical to brain states. The new marketing strategy is practically identical to our competitors. Common in. Having no special distinction or quality. Fog and rain are common in the mountainous regions near the border. Street demonstrations by workers have become common in many cities. Street demonstrations by workers have become common in many cities. Aim at. To have something or someone as a target. These early efforts were principally aimed at limiting child labor. The government's campaign is aimed at influencing public opinion. The debate is aimed at achieving a lasting peace between the two sides. Abstain from. To choose not to do or have something. It is recommended to abstain from using too much social media. The doctor advised the pregnant woman to abstain from caffeine. One must abstain from lewd conversation and heated arguments. Account for. To explain the reason or cause for something. The athlete had to account for his poor performance in the game. How do you account for the fact that unemployment is still rising? The coach had to account for the team's strengths and weaknesses. Adapt to. To adjust oneself to different conditions. A lot of companies have found it hard to adapt to the new system. In order to succeed, one must learn to adapt to adversity and difficulty. All living organisms have to adapt to changes in environmental conditions. Arrive at. To come to a certain point in the course of travel. Once we arrive at the destination, we can start exploring the area. The flowers will arrive at the wedding venue before the ceremony. The truck carrying the goods will arrive at the warehouse tomorrow. Escape from. To get free from something, or to avoid something. Yasin had seriously hurt himself while trying to escape from the police. The hotel guests tried their best to escape from the burning building. They offered a thanksgiving to God for their escape from the shipwreck. Blind to. Not be conscious or to refuse to notice something. Justice should be blind to race, gender, and socio-economic status. She tried to be blind to the negative comments about her appearance. They were determined to be blind to the rumors circulating about them. Competition with. The act or process of trying to get or win something. Public transport is run in direct competition with the private sector. Hotels in the downtown area were in direct competition with each other. Their football team bowed out of the competition with unknown reasons. Borrow from. Take something belonging to someone else. Most people here cannot borrow from banks because they lack collateral. How come people never give back books that they borrow from friends? She has created new string sounds that borrow heavily from folk and jazz. Contribute to. To help cause an event or situation. All of these factors may theoretically contribute to severe diarrhea. Regular outings contribute to a sense of fellowship among co-workers. A common household fungus can contribute to sick-building syndrome. Believe in. Have faith in the truth or existence of something. Shallow men believe in luck. Self-trust is the first secret of success. She strongly believes in the curative powers of the local mineral water. Gradually, since her divorce, she's beginning to believe in herself again. Demand for. An urgent or pressing requirement. The boom was fueled by accelerated demand for consumer products. Some companies have been unable to meet demand for their products. The government supported the unions in their demand for a minimum wage. Associate with. Connected with an organization or business. Rising income levels are associated with increased protein consumption. This reduction has been closely associated with rising top income shares. Time spent reading is associated with attitudes toward additional reading. Long for. Anything you yearn for or desire strongly. She's longing for her husband to return from his business trip. People who long for more leisure time often move to smaller towns. When you long for something sincerely, the whole world will help you. Eligible for. Fit or proper to be chosen, worthy of choice. To be eligible for this, they must be qualified for at least 3 years. You may be eligible for a discretionary grant for your university course. A model prisoner became eligible for release after serving half his sentence. Connection with. A relation between things or events. The police arrested 3 suspects in connection with the robbery. That solitary old man was suspected to be connected with the crime. I've never heard anyone use the word fair in connection with income tax. Familiar with. Being generally known and easily recognized. They are familiar with the language, so they can communicate easily. He is familiar with the rules, so he knows what he can and cannot do. International law is a minefield for anyone not familiar with its complexity. Charge with. To accuse someone of something. They were released later on bail after being charged with trespassing. 5 other men have already been charged with chemical weapons offenses. He has been charged with involuntary manslaughter and causing bodily harm. Care about. To love someone and feel romantic towards. Being respectful is an attribute that shows you care about others. We should care about the safety of ourselves and those around us. Investing in customer service means you care about your customers. Indifferent to. Having no particular interest or sympathy. They were indifferent to the environmental impact of their business. The lazy babysitter was indifferent to the children jumping around her. The politician seemed to be indifferent to the needs of his constituents. Belong to. Be owned by, be in the possession of. The Japanese tend to identify themselves with the group they belong to. The remaining shares belong to the executives who manage the company. Both leaders belong to rival political parties and were elected separately. Close to. Not far from someone or something in the distance. Campsites are usually situated along the coast, close to beaches. Don't be afraid to be close to your emotions and seek help if needed. We are looking for the perfect place to retire in and be close to nature. Coincide with. To occupy the same place in space or time. The contract was foredated to coincide with the project start date. The play's premiere was antedated to coincide with a special event. The magazine's non-partisan stance coincides with recent political trends. Concern about. The fact of feeling worried about something. Our main concern about moving to London is the cost of housing. Several parents have voiced concern about their children's safety. The drop in consumer spending reflects concern about the economy. Concentrate on. Focus all one's attention on a particular activity. Concentrate on your career goals and work towards achieving them. As so many people were talking, I couldn't concentrate on my work. We need to concentrate on our target audience, namely women and children. Prevent from. To stop something happening or to stop someone. He said this would prevent companies from creating new jobs. Following a healthy diet can prevent from certain health conditions. Taking precautions can prevent from contracting a contagious disease. Affection for. A feeling of liking for a person or thing. They have a shared affection for traveling and exploring new places. I have a strong affection for nature and love spending time outdoors. I have great admiration and affection for the majority of my neighbors. Consent to. Give permission for something to happen. Don't forget to sign up with your consent to the terms and conditions. The pop-up window asked for my consent to use cookies on the website. We require a written confirmation of your consent to the background check. Participate in. To have or take part or share with others. Young children will participate in a drama class without inhibition. We encourage students to participate fully in the running of the college. 12 have pleaded guilty to participating in the nationwide bribery conspiracy. Bias towards. Allowing personal opinions to influence your judgment. They show a clear bias towards the problems of developing countries. My teaching style has a strong bias towards vocabulary development. People show a bias towards other people who are in the same notional group. Recover from. To become completely well again after an illness. The patient will undergo physical therapy to recover from an injury. She experienced recurring fevers while trying to recover from malaria. The impoverished country was struggling to recover from the recession. Emerge from. Means to come out into view or come forth. The radicle is the first part of a seedling to emerge from the seed. The artist's creative process began to emerge from behind the scenes. The forgotten memory started to emerge from the depths of her mind. Capacity for. The maximum amount that something can contain. The human capacity for language certainly shapes our ways of thinking. He seems capable of anything and has an exciting capacity for violence. However, the human capacity for processing information is finite and very low. Happen to. A situation or event, to come into existence, occur. Violence can happen to anyone, regardless of age, gender, or race. It's important to be kind when unexpected things happen to others. Discrimination can happen to people who speak a different language. Distinguish between. To mark as separate or different. At the same time, we have to distinguish between different drinks. The immune system can distinguish between self and non-self cells. I have trouble distinguishing the difference between the two of them. Comply with. To act according to an order, a set of rules. The passengers must comply with the airline's security measures. The commander said that the army would comply with the ceasefire. There are serious penalties for failure to comply with the regulations. Abide by. To accept or obey an agreement, decision, or rule. The guests must abide by the rules of the hotel during their stay. The employees must abide by the company's policies and procedures. They both agreed to abide by the terms of the separation agreement. Irrespective of. Without considering something or being influenced. The laws apply to everyone irrespective of race, creed, or color. They are apt to watch television, irrespective of what program is on. We decided to employ men of ability irrespective of their experience. Prepare for. Make something ready for use or consideration. Make sure you have ample time to prepare for the new day ahead. My sister is having extra maths lessons to prepare for the next exam. The players are in a defiant mood as they prepare for tomorrow's game. Lead to. To manage or control a group of people. Reducing speed limits should lead to fewer deaths on the roads. Their demands could lead to a serious confrontation with management. Her investigations ultimately led to the discovery of the missing documents. Succeed in. Achieve something that you have been trying. You can succeed in learning a new language if you practice regularly. Hard work is the name of the game if you want to succeed in business. Practicing good study habits can help you succeed in your academic career. Adjust to. To alter slightly, especially to achieve accuracy. Learning to adjust to a new environment is a valuable life skill. Hold on to your adaptability, it will help you adjust to changes. The engineer had to adjust to alignment of the parts of the machine. Insist on. Demand to make a very strong request for something. Don't settle for less, insist on getting the education you deserve. They insist on having a weekly team meeting to discuss progress. We insist on finishing the project tonight, or we'll be behind schedule. Protect from. To cover or shield from exposure, injury, damage. The astronaut wore a suit made of foil to protect from radiation. She spread some sunscreen on her face to protect her from the sun. Consuming green leafy vegetables can help protect from inflammation. Claim to. To say that something is true or is a fact. The restaurant's real claim to fame is the cooking method. Two countries have a claim to sovereignty over the same islands. You will have to prove your claim to the property in a court of law. Exempt from. Special permission not to do or pay something. If you are a veteran, you may be exempt from certain fees or taxes. Some people are exempt from certain laws due to their occupation. Employees who work on weekends are exempt from working on weekdays. Worry about. Making you feel unhappy and frightened. Do not worry about winning or losing, think of what you will gain. If you are doing your best, you will not have to worry about failure. Don't worry about being alone, it's okay to enjoy your own company. Stem from. To start or develop as the result of something. He says the problem stems from ambiguity in the test procedure. The investigation stems from a report on Israel television last month. Many economic problems stem from the depletion of natural resources. Reply to. Say something in response to something someone has said. Please reply to the email I sent you regarding the group project. It's important to reply to someone when they ask for your opinion. In reply to your email, I would like to schedule a meeting for next week. Exception to. Something that is not included in a rule. Most of his family are sports enthusiasts, but he's the exception to the rule. The only exception to the dress code is on Fridays when we can wear jeans. There is one important exception to this which is related to the approval process. Collide with. To come together with solid or direct impact. It was predicted that a comet would collide with one of the planets. There are times when our daily orbits collide with those of other creatures. Free electrons in a plasma can collide with ions, leading to energy transfer. Depend on. Trust to believe that someone is good, honest, sincere. She needs to realize that her happiness should not depend on others. In an ecosystem, plants and animals depend on each other to survive. Trusting someone means being able to depend on them in times of need. Specialize in. To pursue some special line of study, work, etc. Some biographers specialize in writing about historical figures. Some entrepreneurs choose to specialize in a particular industry. Chronologists often specialize in specific time periods or regions. Impose on. Force oneself on others, take unfair advantage of. It's rude to impose on someone's personal space without permission. It's important to be mindful of how our actions may impose on others. Let's not impose on our colleagues by constantly asking for their help. Absorb in. To take up someone's attention completely. He was absorbed in his research, spending hours in the library. It's easy to be absorbed in a good book and lose track of time. The chess players absorb in the game, strategizing every move. Agree on. To share or have the same opinion. The two sides failed to agree on every point but came to a settlement. They agree on fundamentals, like the need for further political reform. If Europe fails to agree on this, we can say goodbye to common foreign policy. Admire for. Regard with respect or warm approval. She was admired for his great skills in organization development. Her work is much admired for its historical and ethnological accuracy. Women with curves have been admired for centuries openly and secretly. Agree with. Think that something is morally acceptable. The borrower must agree with the conditions of the loan agreement. When you don't agree with the result, you can dispute the outcome. We wholeheartedly agree with the statement that knowledge is power. Apologize for. An act of saying that you are sorry for something. We apologize for this discrepancy, which we hope to rectify shortly. We apologize for any inconvenience caused during the maintenance. We apologize for any inconvenience caused by the late arrival of the train. Boast about. To speak with exaggeration and excessive pride. He is a humble person who doesn't boast about his achievements. She loves to boast about her internship with a prestigious company. The politician would frequently boast about his past achievements. Glance at. To take a quick look at something. She took a quick glance at the price tag before buying the dress. She gave a quick glance at the menu before deciding what to order. If you're feeling tired, take a glance at the coffee shop across the street. Comment on. To state an opinion or make a remark. The police refuse to comment on whether anyone has been arrested. The palace will not comment on questions about the family's private life. They refuse to comment on the existence or non-existence of a waiting list.